Why farm in India needs a new deal? Clouded economy. Policymakers celebrated the Green Revolution for the too long without realizing it had run its courses. Delinking farm and rain remain a challenges. In chasing higher and higher GDP growth rate, India tends to glow over the two vital facts. 1. Farm growth cuts poverty twice as a fact as industrial growth. 2. A 1% rise in agriculture output raises the industrial productions by the 0.5% and national outcomes incomes by 0.7% according to the one calculations. In other words, the country's fortunes are constructionally tied to its farmers. Two-thirds of Indians rely on this farmer-based income. A back-to-back drought last year led this challenging farm duties. Rural incomes fell, food pricked short, farmer protested. Yet these effects are made in another compared to the previous era. During 1965 to 66, a similar consecutive drought had put India in knives of edge. Food output dropped 36%. These 2 years data shows all through this 40 and 50 and 60. Famine or common, million died. Many predicted another killer's famine. Economist Pauls and William Paddock proposes that Malthusian horror of population rising faster than the food output declared countries like the India foredoomed. India signed up on an argument with the US called the Public Lodge 480 qualify for the food aid. It was not just humiliations with a cold car on. Food assistance was politically hazard because aids come tied with these conditions and conditionnalities. A test for this comes when this US stopped desperate wheat shipment for 48 hours right the middle of the drought. To the end this dependent, India began putting together a policy framework led by them. The Farm Minister Subramaniam, a breakthrough came when the country got hold the fertilizer responding a high-yielding spring wheat variety from the CIIMYT. International Farm Research Organization, a similar variety of the indica rices come from this philosophy is based on the International Rice Research Institutions. Nearly 18,000 tons of their seeds were dispatched to food-bowl state of this Punjab, Haryana and Western UP, along with minimum support prices, fertilizer subsidies and the irrigation cover. In this poker, an incredible green revolution took off. Within a year, the result showed India became the self-sufficient in the food grain that about all Indian agricultural has been able to achieve. While subsidies were crucial and over-dependent on the subsidies over investment was to be costly mistake. The Green Revolution was actually only wheat revolution. The technology was limited and the area to which it was applied were limited. The crops were limited but the farmer were benefited were limited, said the Uma Kapil, a economic historian who taught at Delhi's Miranda House College. We all know growth requirement investment over a period of time, so it focuses the subsidies at the cost of investment. Policymakers based on this glory of the Green Revolution for the too long, without realizations of the technology had run its courses. The first sign of the Green Revolution diminishing emergence in the mid-1980 when the yield began falling. Today, India exhibits this lowest exhibit globally. Overall, the lowest return from the public subsidies were agriculture and whether investment was low. The rate of investment in agriculture in 80 and 19 was this 8 to 12%. These years roughly coincide with the 60 and 10th 5-year plan. With the such spending of the agriculture, excepting for input subsidies, farm growth hoped 2.5% and so. In contrast, public investment along with this reform in the Indian sectors were 35%. This investment phases agriculture was reversed with the 10th and 11th-year plan. Even today, irrigated lands make up the only 40% country's arable lands, making 60% of the net sown area voluntary to this monsoon filter. Higher farm output and solution for the small incomes with this less farmhood, hints or area yielded. The government has already trapped the easy means and the swans must be fertile. This better irrigations and area explanations had its limitations. We can no longer expand the area and the only way to got it raise the yield, said Kapil. Farm investment was now reached 20% or so on the GDP, but most of it comes from the private sector. So while experts recommended more private participation, they say public investment must also go up. The consequences of this fading green revolutions and the skewed farm policy are now showing up in the politics. The violent agitations by Jat in Haryana and Gujarat for the silver in the Indian reservation pledge or instances. Traditionally, pastoral communities such as Jat and Gujarat in the northern states of the even Patidhars in the western India benefited greatly in the Green Revolution farm subsidies. The Jat participated heavily in the 1857's War of the Independence, resulting in the British coopting for their lot of the quasi-owned partnerships land. They thus equipped with this Bhumbidhar land owning status. Over the time, this led to their dominance. Falling return from the agriculture at the time of the higher economic growth could lead to more unrest. A 2014 survey by the Lomkiti found that nearly 40% farmers were so distinguished that they wanted to abandon farming. Where do they grow? On the basic of the street.